We want to thank our sponsor, The Star Movie. The Star is coming back to theaters for a limited time. It's about a small, brave donkey named Bo who yearns for a life beyond his daily grind at the village mill. One day he finds the courage to break free and teams up with Ruth, the lovable sheep, and Dave, the hilarious dove with lofty aspirations. Along with 3 wisecracking camels and some eccentric stable animals, Bo and his new friends follow the star on the adventure of their dreams, filled with lots of laughter, and become part of the greatest story ever told. Experience the star again December 7th and 8th in select theaters. Backed by popular demand, you and your family can celebrate the true meaning behind the season. Be sure to check out all of the great resources for your family to use this holiday season. There are discussion guides along with tons of free downloadable activities. Don't wait to get your tickets today. Find a theater near you at thestarmovie-tickets.com. That's thestarmovie-tickets.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Moms Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions, from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey everyone, and welcome. This is Felice Gerwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms. Today we are going to be talking about gifts on a budget, which is perfect for the month of December. You can find the show notes for today's episode 384 at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. And what better way to talk about this topic than with my good friend Meredith Curtis, who is also a podcaster on this network. You can find her podcast at Finish Well, and she has books at Powerline Prod. That's POWERLINEPROD.com and meredithcurtis.com. Welcome, Meredith.
Hi, Felice. I'm so excited to talk about Christmas, and I had to laugh because I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw your post about getting the fall leaves and how you need to go to Georgia and get those fall leaves and decorate the house. And I love that about you, how much you love fall. And I'm the Christmas girl, and right. I take everything off my walls and off my tabletops, and I turn it into a Christmas Winterland. And every year I think I'm going too far, I need to cut back, but every year I do it again. Anyway, this is fun.
We need to visit each other's homes. You're 4 hours away from me, but we do, because I want to see your home at Christmas. I've heard so much about it. And I also inherited all of my mother's stuff. So she had these ceramic little villages, and I just looked at it. My brothers and I were in shell shock at all the boxes we had. And so I have them. They're up high on my cabinets. My husband built this house, and I have nice high cabinets where we have this, amazing winter wonderland scene up there. And also, no one can break it because it's up high. And I added a little bit to it. Again, finding these great deals. It's either at the end of the season or, just in weird places every once in a while. If you pray, it's amazing how God just sends you, to a store maybe that comes to mind that you don't normally go to. And you can find some really great stuff. But we have big families, and I have, grandchildren, and you do as well. And so it gets to the point, with how do we, first of all, juggle school and home. We're going to talk about that. But also, how do we save money with big families? And I have to tell a funny story. This summer, my daughter, who's in college, visited her cousin who graduated a year or so ago from college and is, quote unquote, in the real world. And my daughter's a senior this year. So they visited this summer, and my daughter gets home with this list And she and my niece had decided that we are going on a budget as a family because everyone's coming for Christmas. And so they had broken up the family members into different people that they would buy gifts for. And then they gave it to me as my job as the mediator of the family, because they said I was good with words, to present this. So I did. I talked to my sister-in-law about it, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine with whatever. And with my niece, when she comes and the little kids, I tend to buy, family gifts. But I thought that was so cute that here are these kids who, my niece with her, first job that she's having to budget for, living and food and so forth. And my daughter who's, getting ready to, or still in college and doesn't have a job, that they were already thinking that. So I thought that was wonderful and a great idea for a way to save money, especially with extended family. And that's what we were talking about here. But you had some ideas with, studies that you can do in the month of December that would be, maybe in lieu of some normal work that the kids are doing, or I would always just say we're going to keep doing our math and our reading, if they're younger, and then we're going to add these studies in. So share with us some of the studies you do in December.
Well, since December is such a big month, not only do I go way, way overboard at home, but I'm also a pastor's wife. And of course, every church has big events during Christmas. So here we are, super busy in December. So I started planning for it by making the schoolwork lighter in December and just doing the math and wanting even the reading to kind of be focused on Christmas and things like that. So I started doing unit studies, which is honestly, Felice, how I got into unit studies in the very beginning, because I wanted to take the unit study plunge, but I thought, so I started with these unit studies in December, and we would do things like Christmas with Anne of Green Gables, A Very British Christmas, Christmas in Colonial America, and we would learn about not only how people celebrated Christmas, but we would learn, we read through the book of Anne of Green Gables aloud, and we watched the movies, and we made crafts and recipes and had tea, and when we studied A British Christmas, we tried to do a goose, and we read A Christmas Carol out loud, and so we did all this learning. But as we were doing the unit study, all of our projects had a purpose. Like for what was handwriting in December, we addressed Christmas cards. One of our crafts was wrapping Christmas presents. One of our projects was making a Christmas budget and Christmas shopping. One of our school projects was creating Christmas gifts. Like we did this one Christmas unit study where we read Christmas picture books out loud, and then we baked Christmas cookies. So we would bake cookies and freeze them, or we made gifts in a jar. And so by the end of the unit study, we had read all these delightful picture books, but we had also finished all of our presents for neighbors and people at church. And all we had to do the final day was just deliver them, right before Christmas. So we did one year, my girls made big Christmas wreaths in the unit study. One year, the girls made little booklets about Christmas traditions in colonial times, and we gave them to all the family. So we just had a really fun time celebrating Christmas, learning a lot, but also getting a lot of the practical busy work of Christmas finished. So that was really, the Christmas unit studies were just really special time for us and an amazing memory that my kids look back to.
I think that's so great because, again, it's important to put things in perspective and to make the time for the things that we really want to do rather than feeling like we have to do the things on a checkoff list. And what better time than Christmas, Meredith, to do all those things. For us with the schoolwork, we were pretty much done the first week of December. I would just wrap it up then because Anytime after that, it was already, we would have, park days scheduled, or we would have time to get together to make crafts, so that we would go to the nursing homes and do Christmas caroling and things like that. Plus, the kids were typically involved in some sort of play at church. And so that was another big, thing that we had to go to practices, and that always cut time into, what we were doing at home. So it was just easier. And, I know you're a summer planner for the school year, and I was too. And for me, that was a stress release to have all the stuff planned out, to know, yes, some of the times, you're going to have to go a day earlier or finish something up, on a Saturday maybe, that you hadn't planned to, but at least you can get the majority of it going and done, so that you can really enjoy the holidays. Also, I love that you use some of these unit studies to make some gifts and things like that, which is wonderful. You can of course, same thing with art and music. Last year, the little kids and I, my grandkids, did some prayers, and so I recorded the kids praying, and then like a beginning and an end, and then put them together, which was a labor of love. It took me so long to get this thing together.
Oh.
But then I uploaded it, because we're in the digital age now, and so each of our immediate family members got a copy of it, and so now we always have the kids' voices as little children praying, which is so wonderful. And that was just something that came to mind that I really, really wanted to do. And it took me hours and hours and hours, I cannot tell you, of editing audio and things like that. But it was so worth it. And then I had like a music bed. That's one of the nice things that comes out of owning some podcast networks and podcasting for 10 years, that you get good at the audio and the techie stuff. And that was a little bit different. It was nobody knew about it, and all the kids knew. And it was amazing that they didn't tell anybody, which was a miracle. But they were so excited. And, another thing that we did, and this is more along the lines of character, and that is, we had, my parents were Italian, and we have a lot of things that, they brought back from Italy. And one of them is this baby Jesus that is probably, I would say, as big as my forearm. It's big. And it's in this.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's huge. And, it's a little bit startling, but my dad always kept it by his bed. Well, when he passed, I have this big baby Jesus in the little, it's not this little creche, it's big. And so I read somewhere about taking like hay, and, so Jesus starts out with no hay. And as the kids did things like, it was the whole catching them being good or being grateful or being thankful or doing things for others. So they would get a piece of hay for baby Jesus's bed. So by the time Christmas came, this bed had lots of hay. So, we had to work out some details, like, no, you cannot ask, Mom, I did something good. Do I get some hay? And they're going to push the envelope, to go find the hay and put some in and things like that. So, we had to work through some of this stuff, but it was really a cute thing, and it was a tradition, and my daughter does it on a smaller level with a smaller baby Jesus. But it just reminds the children, this Christmas, it's about the birth of Jesus. We're going to focus on the Lord, and, your works are not going to save you, but it's going to keep you closer to walking with Him. And so, we worked on those aspects, and just little things that, you can't teach in the book, which is, what you were saying with your studies, your unit studies. You just can't teach these things in a way just by reading a story the way you can by having them enact this in their lives.
Well, I totally agree. And I think Christmas is such a great time to teach children that God so loved the world that He gave. And, we give because Jesus gave to us. And it's such a privilege to give. And not only because it blesses others, but because when we give, we understand a little bit more about the heart of God. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And, you were talking at the very beginning about gift giving. And the truth is, with the big homeschooling family, gift giving can get really expensive, especially when you have a lot of extended family. So we have found some ways in our family to save money in giving. For example, one of the things that it's just everyone in my family is a reader. They all love to read. And the babies love books, and the old people love books, and the in-between people love books. And so books, brand new, are expensive, and we have started becoming shoppers at used bookstores. And, we get lists of books of, authors that everybody likes, and then we head out to used bookstores and go shopping there. And it's so nice because you can get so much for so little. And, whether the cover is perfect or not perfect, it's the content inside. And so that's become for us a real blessing, is used bookstores as a way to give books. And like I said, we just really place high value on books. And another thing is Pinterest, has so many neat craft ideas. And you can go to a thrift store and spend $5 and, follow some directions on Pinterest and really have some nice gifts. So those are just a couple ways for us of how we have, saved money. And yet I think, and I know you do this a lot, Felice, you're much more crafty than I am, but it really means a lot to people when someone has made them something. I think it's very special to them. And it carries, it means not only does someone care about me, but they invested in me. And I love about the drawing names and deciding you'll give to this person or you'll give to this person. I think giving family gifts and one great family gift is a game, a family game that the family can play together, or a really good Christian movie. And there's so many good ones coming out now, but, or drawing names. And I remember growing up, we would go visit my grandmother the first week in December, and our cousins would come over. They would drive a couple hours, and they would come see us, and we would have a big Christmas dinner, and we would have each drawn a name, and we'd give the person whose name we had drawn a gift. And that was really, really a fun time. It was a way to spend the holidays with them. But then, of course, Christmas was just our family alone in Florida. But it was a really nice way to celebrate Christmas without breaking the bank to draw names. So that's another thing that we have instituted to keep things from being crazy.
Right. And the other thing is baked goods. A lot of people don't bake, and I know that they're tired of sometimes getting baked goods. So you can do things like cinnamon rolls or something that isn't a cookie or cake. And that's what we give our pastors at our church, rather than just giving them, more cookies or cakes or something like that. And they love them, and then they can heat them up, and then we put the frosting separately. So, or even baked bread, which is something that, I don't know who doesn't love baked bread, especially if you're not gluten-free, and it's something that's super yummy. So I know one year we decided to do mixes, and so I had a all-purpose muffin mix, which I still use to this day. And then you can just add, the milk and eggs and butter. You melt butter, and then you just pull out some of this mix. You can even do a crumb topping with the mix. So I had a canister, like a clear canister with this mix in it, and then the recipe was taped with package tape to the outside, so they didn't even have to look it up. And
that's cool.
That was a favorite. Yeah. And, I gave that to like extended family, like my daughter's mother-in-law. They participate with us. And now my in-laws are too old to come anymore. So we bring them stuff that they can use. They don't have a lot of room. And what she wants right now are pictures. So that's another good family gift, are the pictures or those picture books that you can give. And they love those. They really do. And that's their, like their memories are surrounding them, and that makes them happy. So great. These are some things that you can do, friends. We're going to have a lot more topics on on this sort of thing for this month of December. And be sure to check out the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network for great shows like Meredith Finish Well, as well as other shows on this network. And I will have links for some of the things we talked about, some of the books that Meredith mentioned, as well as her links to her social media and website. Take care, everyone, and God bless. And thanks so much, Meredith, for joining me today.
Thank you so much. God bless everyone. Merry Christmas.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.